get started. So today we're doing Daf Lamed He Amud Aleph. So we were by where it says we left off. Lamed He Amud Aleph, where it says Lishna Achrina. The first word online is Shechiach, and then it says Lishna Achrina. So it's really going to be a quick thing today. It's not that much Gemara, and it's not super hard. So just what we were in the middle of discussing was in the Mishnah, just to have some background, in the Mishnah, we had a case where two men married two women and they switched. We said the case is that two men are brothers, two women are sisters, but the women mistakenly got switched. So we said that if they're ktanot, then they don't have to wait 3 months because you know for sure they're not pregnant. They can go back to their husbands. But it sounds like if they're not ktanot, if they're gedolot, then they have to wait 3 months, because if they're pregnant, you need to know who the father of the child is. So, Amar Shmuel said, Kulan, any of these women, any type of woman, any woman who has bia with somebody and then they want to get married, so tzrichot lahamtin shlosha chodashim. They need to wait 3 months from the time of bia to know who the father is. Chutz migioret umishuchreret gedola, except for a gioret or a mishuchreret, somebody who converted, or someone who was a shivcha who became freed, who's a gedola, who's above bat mitzvah. That it's basically, I mean, that it's possible for her to get pregnant.
The person that cannot get pregnant,
No, Ketana cannot get pregnant. Gedola means above.
Some of the ladies, when they get older.
Yeah, that's Zekena. That's something else. That they're too old to become pregnant. This is Gedola, just means above bat mitzvah. So this is another version, right? Yesterday we did the first version of what Shmuel said. Before, the version we had of Shmuel was not including Gedola. Right now, we have a different version that Shmuel is saying that all of these ladies, they have to wait 3 months, except for Gioret, someone who converts, or a Mishuchreret, somebody who was freed, and Gedola, they're in a Gedola. It sounds like a Ktana doesn't have to wait. Meaning, the diuk is like this. Shmuel says, just to understand clearly where the Gemara is coming from. Shmuel said that a gioret who's above bat mitzvah, she doesn't have to wait the 3 months. It sounds like a bat Yisrael who's above bat mitzvah, she has to wait 3 months. If she had bia with somebody, she has to wait 3 months.
They already got married before, yeah?
So there's a machloket we're gonna get to later on, but right now we're talking about a gioret and a mishuchreret that they have to wait 3 months.
Why do they have to wait 3 months?
Because if they're pregnant.
Did they have somebody before?
Good question. So let's assume that they did. As a gioret, when she's a goya, she has there's assumption that she's a little bit more hefker with bia, and the assumption is that she has bia with somebody. So once she converts, Chachamim said you have to wait 3 months. The truth is, we're going to get much more into these Gemaras later on. I think it's like 10 daf from here. The Gemara gets more into these sugyot, 8 to 10 daf from here. But either way, so Shmuel is saying that a gedola who's a gioret, who converts, she has to wait 3 months. It sounds like a bat Yisrael who doesn't have to wait 3 months after having. I'm sorry, it sounds like a bat Yisrael has to wait 3 months. A gioret doesn't have to wait. It sounds like a bat Yisrael has to wait if she's a gedola. But if she's a ketana, then she doesn't, right? So ketana bat Yisrael einat tzricha lamtin gimel chodashim. According to this, someone who's under bar mitzvah doesn't have to wait 3 months after having bia. So the Gemara says, well, what's the case where a ketana had bia and we talk about waiting 3 months, that she doesn't have to wait 3 months? B'mai. If the case is she was married and she did miyun, and we were saying she doesn't have to wait 3 months to marry somebody else. Ha'amra Shmuel chadazimna. Shmuel already taught us that. Ibeget haka'amar Shmuel debaya. If we're talking about that she was married to somebody and she received a get, So then Shmuel already taught us that in that case she needs to wait the 3 months. So how do we know this? Da'amar Shmuel miana, if her mother and brothers married her off and she did miyun, so mianabo ena tzricha lamtin shlosha chadashim. She doesn't need. Chachamim did not say in that case that she needs to wait 3 months before marrying somebody else. Natan la get, but if the guy gave her a get, meaning if she was married fully, her father accepted real kiddushin for her, and the man gave her a get, so tzricha lahamtin shlosha chadashim. Then she needs to wait 3 months. Why? Because the whole thing of a ketana, she's not pregnant anyways. She's 10 years old. She's not pregnant. She's 8 years old, however old she is. But anytime a get is given, Chachamim said, I don't care. You always have to wait 3 months. People are going to confuse ketana and gedola. So anytime a lady gets divorced with a get, you have to wait 3 months. But before she gets married to somebody else. From the time, machloket, from the time that the get is given or from the time that the get is signed and written. But the point is, she has to wait 3 months after getting a get. But if she did miyun, people are not going to confuse that with a gedolah. People are not going to say, oh, well, she did miyun, therefore when an adult gives a get, she doesn't have to wait 3 months, because when the kid did miyun, she didn't have to wait 3 months. People are not going to connect those dots. They're not going to say
Because for that they make kiddushim on the street.
What?
Because there has to be distance between it. Like for example, in the community that we're living now, they have engagement. Then after 3-4 months, they get married.
Yes.
They have 3 months in between. Yeah, because of that, or I don't know, because it came from this idea that they have to wait 3 months before they get married.
Oh no! That's no. That has nothing to do. That's what we call engagement is absolutely nothing. The 3 months is there's no. I mean, a person can get engaged.
That we took. You reserve that gear, yeah? That's yours.
Not
Can't
really.
you
In
get married?
halacha, it doesn't mean anything. The when a person says.
Yeah, because you get it breaks. Yeah.
There's no actual kiddushin. There's no witnesses. There's discussion about it and nothing, but there's no witnesses. He's not giving it anything l'shem kiddushin. It's just what's a popular American thing.
They make it an engagement party is not witnesses.
Yeah, no, there's no kiddushin means he needs 2 witnesses. He needs to give her something and say hareyad mikudeshet li. So if a guy proposes to a girl and he says yeah, but that's not the poskim right. If a person says will you marry me, like the way the goyim say the way that doesn't make she doesn't need to get after that. That's not a real kiddushin. If it's a real kiddushin, you need to get afterwards. She's a isharish. That's not.
If you marry me and he gives a gift to the guest, about what?
He doesn't have kavanah to be mekadesh. He's just he doesn't have kavanah that he's gonna be making her an eshadish and he's gonna be mekadesh her. Okay, either way. So Ella biznut. So the case is that the ketana was mizana, meaning she did some act of znut. It wasn't a marriage. It wasn't miyun. Or a get that was required. She wasn't married to anybody. She was just with somebody, not through marriage. And on that, we're saying that Shmuel holds that if she's a ketana who was mizaneh, she doesn't need to wait 3 months before marrying somebody. V'znut b'ketana lo shchiach. Znut by a ketana is not something that's common. Since it's not common, Chachamim didn't make a gzera on her that she has to wait 3 months. Okay, so now ask the Gemara, Gioret u'mishuchreret tishchiach be'uznut ligzor. Why? How come by a gioret and a mishuchreret, meaning by someone who converted, why don't we say that they have to wait 3 months? Maybe they had biyah beforehand. They should wait 3 months. After she converts, she should wait 3 months to make sure that she's not pregnant before she marries anybody. So why did Shmuel say she doesn't have to wait 3 months? She can convert and marry right away. Why don't we say that she should wait? So Hu Damar Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara says Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yossi. So this is a very important machloket. The Tanya, Hagioret v'hashivuya v'hashivcha shenifdu v'shenitgayeru v'shenishtachru. Basically, if you have a gioret who converted, or a shivuya, someone who was captive, who they did pidyon shivuyim, they got her out, or shivcha, that she was redeemed. So all of those cases, tzrichot lamtin gimel chodashim. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds all those cases they have to wait 3 months. Okay, we're going to see exactly what the machloket is in a moment. But Rabbi Yehuda seems to hold that we're worried these people had znut, and someone who's taken a captive, they'll be mizaneh with her. Somebody who was a gioret, who was beforehand a goya, we assume that she was hefker with herself. So these cases, we assume that they had znut. Therefore, right when they convert, they have to wait 3 months before they could get married. Rabbi Yossi matir li'ares v'linaseh. Rabbi Yossi is matir to do erusin and nisuin. He's miyad. He says right away you could do it. You don't have to do a whole 3 months. You could convert and the next day get married. So we're saying Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel says they don't need the 3 months. This is like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says they don't need the 3 months. Amar Rabba, my ta'ama de Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi said, what's the reason? Why does Rabbi Yossi say she doesn't have to wait? Maybe she had bia beforehand and she's pregnant. You want to know, was the baby from when she was a goya? Well, yeah. So my ta'ama de Rabbi Yossi, kasavar isha mizaneh mishameshet bemoch. He holds that if a woman is gonna be having zinut, she's gonna make sure not to get pregnant. So she's gonna be mishameshet bemoch, which means she's gonna put something inside of her to make sure that she doesn't get pregnant. Kadesh lo tita'aber, in order for herself not to get pregnant. Therefore, Rabbi Yossi says in these cases where it's a zinut, we're not worried that she's gonna get pregnant and she doesn't have to wait the 3 months. So Amar le Abaye. Shlama gioret kevan de da'ate leigiure minatera nafsha k'dei lavchin ben zera shenizra b'kedusha uven zera shenizra shelo b'kedusha. So the Gemara, Abaye said to Rabba, he said, 1 second, let's go case by case. So when it comes to the gioret, so okay, she knows she's going to convert, so she's gonna protect herself and make sure she doesn't get pregnant. She's gonna be mishamesh bemoch. She's gonna put something there to make sure that I'm converting soon, so I'm gonna need to. If I convert and get pregnant, I'm gonna want to know, did I become pregnant before I convert or after I convert? So she knows that if she's doing anything before she converts, she's gonna be mishamesh bemoch. Fine, that I understand. Shivuya, case where a woman was taken captive, v'shivcha, also a shivcha nami, the same thing. Deshami mimaraihu uminteri. They hear that maybe I'm gonna be being released soon, or I'm gonna be being redeemed soon, and they're gonna, if anyone's having bia with them, they're gonna make sure to do it in a way that they're not gonna become pregnant. Uminteri nafshaihu. They're gonna guard themselves to make sure that they don't become pregnant, so that in case they get married afterwards, they'll know that the child is from the afterwards. So Ella yotzet b'shein v'ayin hechi mishkachat la. But Abaye said, I have a question for you. There's a type of shivcha that she doesn't get redeemed. She's yotzet b'shein v'ayin, which that the case is that a person owns a shivcha and he accidentally knocks out her eye, knocks out her teeth, blinds her, whatever it is. So in those cases, there's different ways that she could get injured that she's gonna go free. So that's not something that she planned for. That's not something that she understood was happening. So what are you gonna tell me? She was using a moch. She was being mishameshed with something to make sure she didn't get pregnant. She didn't even know. The whole savara is she knows that I'm gonna go out soon. I'm gonna be redeemed soon. I'm not gonna be a shivcha anymore. Therefore, I have to make sure right now not to become pregnant, so that in the event that I do become pregnant afterwards, it'll be clear that it's from after the conversion. But in this situation, she didn't even know that she was gonna be going out, so she's not expecting that. She's not mishameshet bemoch. And what do you want to tell me that no, Rabbi Yossi agrees in these cases where it was unexpected, the bia was unexpected, or the going out was unexpected, vatanan, really it's supposed to be vatanya, anusa umfuta, a woman who is taken advantage of or seduced, meaning someone is me'anes her or someone seduces her, tzricha lamtin shlosha chodashim, she needs to wait 3 months. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi matir li aretz v'lanaseh miyad. Rabbi Yossi says she's allowed to right away have Erusin and Nisuin. So what do you see?
She got raped.
Yes. So what do you see? Rabbi Yossi holds that even though it was not something that she was expecting, and she didn't put a moch, still she doesn't have to wait 3 months. So what? You're telling me, this is Abaye's question on Rabbah. Rabbah, you're telling me that a woman is has to, she's gonna know, she's gonna put a moch. That doesn't answer everything. There are certain cases where she's she's not gonna know necessarily beforehand what's happening to put a moch. So Ella Amar Abaye. So Abaye says a little bit differently. Sham mizaneh mizana mitapechet shelo titaber. She's gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that she doesn't get pregnant. She'll take the zera out. She's gonna whatever she could do to not get pregnant, even after the fact of having bia, she's gonna do. So it's not necessarily that she's gonna put a moch from beforehand, but after having bia, she's gonna do whatever she can in order to make sure not to get pregnant. Ve'idach, and what is the other opinion? That's what Rabbi Yossi holds. What does Rabbi Yehuda hold? We're worried that she's not going to do it properly fully. So we have a machloket between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. In a case where you have a gioret, a mishuchreret, or a shivuya, that they come out of captivity or they convert. So Rabbi Yehuda holds, this is a very nogea lahalacha actually. Rabbi Yehuda holds that, we're worried even if she tries to not get pregnant from that bia, she's not going to do it properly. And therefore we're worried if she had bia beforehand, she may have had bia beforehand, therefore she has to wait 3 months after converting before having a relationship with somebody else. And Rabbi Yossi says no. If there was a znut involved from before, she's going to make sure to do whatever she can in order not to get pregnant, and she's going to have to she doesn't have to wait. That's the machloket. Just in halacha, there's a lot of interesting cases that come out. The poskim talk about if a couple converts together, you have a husband and wife that are goyim, they convert together. They're really supposed to separate for 3 months. You have cases that might be a little bit different. That if a woman, a
Why
woman,
do you have to wait? Why
because she's converting.
They're both couples.
Yeah, but was the child created as a goy, or was the child created as a Jew? You need to know, right? Or if a woman is married to a Jewish man, and whatever, she's a Goya woman, and the man took this Goya woman, and then afterwards she wants to convert. She wants to become Jewish. She wants to convert. So does she have to separate or not? Rovadi has a tshuva about this.
This is the same situation if somebody has get honest. The lady get honest, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not kosher for husband anymore.
No, honest only if her husband is a kohen.
For regular.
Yeah, she could be with her husband if it's
not
honest.
If it's mazid,
then she
cheat.
Yeah, then she's asura on her husband.
They cannot get back together.
Correct.
In no condition.
I mean, whatever.
No,
There are different.
Yeah,
you have to ask posek, in those situations. What depends on a lot of details, but.
Yeah, but honest, they could get back, yeah. But they still have to wait 3 months before they should do.
So that's right. We said anusa umfuta anusa Rabbi machlok Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. So there's a big machlok who we paskin like Rabbi Yossi or Rabbi Yehuda. Big machloket in the Rishonim who we paskin like. A lot of interesting things on this. But the poskim also get into can you rely on like a pregnancy test or something like that. So she converts and she says, listen, I took a pregnancy test. I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant.
This
so
blood test is 100%. Is it?
Yeah, blood test. I'm not pregnant. So there's a discussion in the poskim about this. Some poskim are a little bit more open to relying on it. Some poskim say no. Chachamim said you have to wait 30 days. It's a gezerah of 30 days. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if we prove, because you see, even according to some opinion, katana also is included in the first version of. So it's katana is not pregnant, but still, according to the first version of Shmuel, they have to wait. So there's it's not super clear that just because they're not pregnant, they don't have to wait. So it's a big discussion in the poskim. Either way, let's finish up. So im hayu kohanot. So we said in the Mishnah, at the very end of the Mishnah, that these two ladies who married the two men who mistakenly switched and they went to the opposite one's husband. So we said if these ladies were kohanot, so they're not allowed to. They're psulim from kehuna. So yeah. So the way we had it in the Mishnah was they cannot have truma, but what it means is they're psulot for kehuna. They're not going to be able to marry a kohen afterwards.
That means they're not kohen anymore.
They're not allowed to marry a kohen afterwards. So the Gemara says kohanit in Yisraelit lo. The Gemara says what? Only if she's a kohenet she becomes pasul. Even if she's not a kohenet, even if she's a Yisraelit. But she was married to one man and she was with another man, so she should be pesula v'kuhuna. So ema imayun neshe kohanim. No, what it means is if they were wives of kohanim, then they're psulot to their husbands. Even though it was ones or whatever, it was shogeg, it wasn't on purpose, it was a mistake that they got switched, still, if they were wives of kohanim, they're psulot to their husbands. So the Gemara says, well, neshe kohanim in neshe Yisraelim lo, but if their husbands were Yisraelim, they're not going to be pasul to marry a kohen afterwards. They're also going to be pasul to marry a kohen afterwards for the rest of their lives. If their husband dies, they can't marry a kohen. That's it. They had bia to as an eshedish. V'amar Rav Amram Hamilta Amar la Rav Sheshet. Rav Amram taught that this is. He said Rav Sheshet taught us this exact halacha that a wife of a Yisraelite who has a relationship with somebody else, she's going to be pesula kohen forever. Right? And he enlightened our eyes from a Mishnah, meaning he brought a proof from a Mishnah also. It says Eshet Yisrael Shene'ensa, the wife of a Yisrael that had ones, right? Meaning she was an Eshet Ish to Yisrael and someone was ma'anes her. Someone took advantage of her, she had ones. Even though she's muter to her husband because it was ba'ones, pisula l'keuna, she's pisula for her keuna. So what do you see? You see that even if she's an Eshet Yisrael, she's pisula for keuna. So why are we saying in our Mishnah, or why are you saying if she's an Eshet Kohen? So Amar Rava hachikama. Rava says no. That's true. What we mean is like this. Im hayu kohanot nisuot liYisrael, if these two ladies that were married were kohanot and they were married to a Yisrael, nifselu, or they were married to two Yisraelim, nifselu mina truma debei nashayhu. They're pisulot from truma debei nasha, which basically is a halacha that if a kohenet, a bat kohen, is married to a Yisrael, this is bat kohen kitiel ishzar. So what's it called? When a bat kohen is married to a Yisrael, so if he dies and she doesn't have children,
married Israel.
Yeah, bat kohen married Israel. So if he dies,
the husband dies,
and she doesn't have children, so she goes back to her father's household, and she can eat truma again. Meaning she can consider it.
Married kohen.
No, she can.
She cannot.
Why not? Sure, she can. She's an almana.
Almana.
Yeah. So her husband dies and doesn't have any children. She's not connected to the Yisrael anymore. She reverts to her kuna status that she had from before, and she's allowed to have truma. But in this case, where she had bia to somebody who she wasn't allowed to have bia with, she was married to Israel and she was honest, she was an anusa, so she doesn't go back to having truma if her husband dies and there's no children. Okay, so Hadron alach arba achin. This was probably one of the hardest prakim in the Masechet that we finished. So last few. I know. The next parak is good. They're all good.
All good.